Hello, hello, and welcome along to the very first episode. Varvinia, Soulforged. Today I have playing with me, Jay.
Hey, I'm Jay, and I'll be playing Kylin Azorath, the Triton Eloquence Bard.
I have Michaela.
Hi, I'm Michaela. I will be playing Winona Barrelite, the Deep Gnome Soul Knife Rogue.
I have Alora.
Hi, I'm Alora. I'm playing Karina, the Chronergy Wizard.
I have Josh.
I'm Josh. I will be playing Luca Wiggs, who is a fox anthropomorph.
Anthropomorph. Go on.
Yeah, whatever that word is. Drake Warden Ranger.
And I have Jamal.
Hi guys, Jamal here. I'm going to be playing Galthak Stonebreaker, Goliath Juggernaut Barbarian.
So, I asked our players to come up with an idea of why their character was wanted, important, and useful. But that's not where we start. We start in a tavern. It's nice and noisy and rowdy. There's a lot going on. There's all sorts of sort of excitement in the bar. And all of you are sitting round at a table, drinking an ale, or a wine, or a water perhaps. And Josh, I don't know what's going on, but can we have your... Yeah. All we've seen so far is the top of your head. Okay, stop. We sit in the tavern, and the group of you are sat around a table. You've just finished a fairly successful local adventure, helping out a sort of couple of goblins from an invading tribe over the border. And as you're sat there, sort of just living up the life, really, counting out your coin and jokingly chatting with each other, a gentleman comes over and... I've heard of you guys. Aren't you the guys that helped the king? How did you meet? And with that, we come to the story of how we met. Roll back 5 years. I turn to Michaela. Tell us a little bit about Winona Barrelite. It's the middle of the afternoon in the spring. What would she be up to? And yeah. Tell us about her.
Well, she's probably in her little shop where she appraises valuable items / does investigations. There's a sign outside the door actually that says appraisal, and then there's a little sign like taped under it that says investigators. No case too small. And Winona is probably at her counter, helping out a customer, maybe. Should I describe how she looks?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about how she looks.
Sure. So she's a deep gnome. Dark gray skin, white, longish hair in a braid. She wears these thick, chunky glasses that she has a little, what do you call those? Like jeweler's lenses, like clipped onto?
Yeah. Single monocle.
Yeah, clipped onto her chunky glasses. And she wears like this sort of, it's like a robe / a cape. But when she puts her arms down, she looks like basically shapeless box. So you really can't see what her hands are up to. Not that she's nefarious.
Yeah. Okay, so I really wasn't expecting you to go what her hands are up to. I thought you were going to go, you can't see what, like, her figure's like. She...
That too. She looks pretty shapeless.
Okay, she's not particularly vain, then?
Oh, no. No, not in...
And you mentioned she's a deep gnome, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did she come forth from the Underdark, I'm assuming, where she originated?
Yes, she lived in a standard gnome city as a standard deep gnome life. She was a jeweler. Her family has always been jewelers and miners. And, one day investigating one of those mines, something strange happened. It sort of collapsed, sending her down into the depths, and She was lost for a bit, had some dangerous encounters, one of which with a mind flayer. She escaped that with her stealth and also some psychic powers that she didn't know she had, but, well, now she does. And she met a friendly flump who, guys, do those guys have names? Because I think she just called him Scout.
They have sort of names, but they're usually quite complex, and they're also said telepathically. So sometimes they
That's
can
what
feel
I
like
figured.
sounds or smells as opposed to just like single syllables. So to say them out loud, yeah, Scout is probably very effective for.
Yeah, so with the help of Scout, she was able to find a way to the surface. It was not where she was trying to go, but, she's a pretty curious person. She hadn't seen anything outside the Underdark before, so she took the chance and sort of wandered around, did jobs, settled down eventually in this town, and that's where we are
Indeed
now.
it is. As you're in your shop, sort of behind the counter, a rather imposing lady comes in. She sort of leans over the counter, begging your pardon, but are you Winona Berylite?
Yes. What can I
Astrid
do for
Brightlance
you?
at your service, Captain of the Guard. Your sign says no job's too small, and that job's too big.
I will try anything. If you need help, what can I do for you?
The king needs your help. If you could shut up shop and head up to the castle as soon as you can. The pay is brilliant, and we will make sure your business is looked after in the meantime, but we could use your help.
Okay, sure. She's like very nervous and awkward at the sound of this, but yeah. Winona will start collecting things and pretty much rush out.
Okay. Just heading up to the castle gate. You'll be recognised on arrival. See you soon. And with that, she sort of wanders out. She was in full plate mail armor. Like, she had a visor up on her helm, but it has like a huge plume on it. Massive great sword at her back. She looked like she just walked out of like a training session or a war. But anyway, we'll leave you there. And we will come to Jay. Jay, tell us a little bit about Kyle and Azarath and what they look like.
Yeah, so Kai, they usually go by Kai. They have like this, as they look, they have pretty decently pale skin. Very, very fish-like, in a sense, with like these ears that are sort of orangish at the tip, sort of resembling like a koi in a bit. They have this long, flowing, light blue hair. They're very well dressed as well. And they're very cheerful and pleasant with pretty much everyone that they meet.
And they're a Triton, is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, they are a Triton.
So, how did you come to be... Well, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a spring afternoon. Perhaps early May equivalent in this world. Where would Kai be? What would they be doing?
So currently, Kai has returned to their home underwater in the city of Mercia. Mm-hmm. And they're just having a relaxing evening or day with their folks.
Fantastic. So, as you are sort of 3 o'clock in the afternoon down there, we'll come back to that in a moment. Sorry, I just had to fix something when my brain shut down. How did you come to sort of get known outside of the ocean where you live? Ocean City, I should say.
Yeah, so Kai was hired as a sort of ambassador, or they were hired alongside ambassadors. They're very well known for their skills of calming people and just being pleasant and helping the mood. They've helped out with a lot of as a third party sit-in between like higher up nobles within their own city, and became well known to the matriarch. And so they were asked to help establish connections with more port towns in the land.
Fantastic. And on this afternoon, a gentleman sort of knocks upon a door, I'm assuming where you live, or wherever you are. And when you come to the door, you see that they've got a huge bubble around their head. Other than that, he looks like a fairly well-dressed human. He's got sort of all sorts of scrolls and various other unusual sort of potions and wands and such. But he looks far too old to be swimming anywhere. And he sort of looks at you, and this voice sort of emanates from all around him. As he says, Kylan Azarath.
I guess that would be me. How can I help?
The king of Arvinia needs your service, if you would, please. You'll be very well compensated. We may need a diplomatic solution to a rather difficult emergency.
Well, of course, I'll go get my things, and I'll come with you right away.
In the nicest way possible, I don't particularly fancy swimming back. Make your way to the Castle Valaris, and you'll be greeted at the gate there.
Ah, yes, of course.
And with that, he sort of begins casting, and quite quickly just gone. Disappeared.
All right, then.
And we'll await you at the castle. And I shall come to Jamal.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your character. What do they look like? What are they?
So, Galthak. He's a Goliath. He's huge, tall and hulking. He's strong by Goliath standards, but far from the strongest out there. What he is, though, is hardened. He definitely looks like a survivor. He bears the scars of battle with beasts and creatures and people. He's very, his skin's almost leathery in texture at this point from the batter he's taken from sun and the elements. That's what I got so far for you.
And at 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon in early spring, what would your character be doing?
3 o'clock on what day, sorry?
I don't know, it's just an afternoon. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, spring.
Probably working.
Okay, what do they do?
Well, he usually works various forms of bodyguard and security work. He's more than likely right now on a contract to guard somebody in particular. So he probably posted right outside where they are at that moment in time, standing watch.
And you've got a bit of a reputation, is that fair to say?
A little bit of a reputation, yeah.
How did you come by that reputation?
Well, that started out with one particular bar. Brawl is the best way to put it. So, some areas of Skeld are seedier than others, and Galthak happened to be in one of those bars in the seedier part of the town. And he pissed somebody off that most people would say do not piss off. But Galthak was either just not giving a shit or didn't know that they would just care that much, just said some offhanded remark, and next thing you know, about a third of the bar is attacking him. He kicked the shit out of all of them. The guard comes storming in with 10 guardsmen, because they do not want to go into this bar with fewer numbers, and they were expecting trouble long before from these people. And they were somewhat impressed, somewhat terrified at this guy who's just casually standing at the bar, ale in hand, bleeding a little, and scuffed up lip and busted open eyebrow, and he just doesn't care. And there's people just on the floor bleeding, broken bones, missing teeth, writhing around in pain and crying out. And
so
yeah.
Once that happened, Galthak went on to go back to his tribe, is that correct?
No, he didn't. He just stayed around. The guard obviously wanted to have a chat with him about what happened, and not long after, it was definitely the talk of the guard and the tavern of this guy who managed to beat the ever-loving snot out of these people, and that's where he got his slightly more badass reputation. And from there, his
Nice.
tribe actually got in contact with him rather than him going to his tribe, and they were not too impressed about what they'd heard, because the other Goliaths in Skeld had heard as well, and they still talk to the other tribes, and word got back to his tribe. Yeah, they weren't impressed, so they encouraged him to use his abilities for something a little more reputable and something more constructive.
Well, speaking
That's
of
how he
something
got
more
his working.
reputable and constructive, on this afternoon, as you're protecting your charge, a gentleman comes in. He's an orc, he's very well built, and you recognize him immediately to be the captain of the guard of the Duke of Skeld. He looks over at you and, Galthak,
Captain.
I'll be taking over your charge. You'll be needing to get yourself down to the main city in Arvinia, and the king has requested you personally for a job most important and apparently a little bit secret. I don't know what it is, but I think there's 10,000 gold pieces on the table for you.
So hang on here 1 minute. You're taking over my job.
I'm doing yours.
I'm going over there.
You're going there, yes. Pretty simple.
Right. Okay.
Take a sword and an axe and a bow and maybe some other weapons. Other than that, take yourself. The pay will be great. Best of luck to you.
You take care of yourself.
He sort of takes a sip out of a hip flask, and we'll leave Galthak to prepare as we come to Josh. Josh, you are playing... No, I'm not going to tell you what you're playing, sorry. Tell us a little bit about your character and what they look like.
Sure. So I will be playing Luca Wicks, who is a fox anthropomorph. And
Yeah, he's a fox guy. He's a fox dude.
yeah, imagine like Disney Robin Hood is that kind of vibe. He's got brown leather boots and gloves, and black pants and a tucked-in white shirt that has a brown leather vest over it, some lovely detailed golden embroidery. And he also, like a couple of months ago, got himself his very own best friend in Vero, who is a small little dark blue dragon that he mysteriously found.
Casual dragon pet. Lots of people with those. So it's sort of late afternoon. Where would we find you? Please tell me I've got the music somewhat right. Where would we find you and what are you doing?
Yeah, so Luca is currently... So he and his father live in a little cabin in the woods. And Luca is probably out in the forest and has made like a mock city out of rocks and twigs on the floor. And he's kind of acting out this scenario. And he's like, help! There's a dragon on the loose! And then Vera walks up to the makeshift town like, ha ha ha, pesky humans. I am here to reign supreme. And he's kind of waving this little stick. People are like, oh no, run away! And Vera's just like knocking the rocks over with his tail and just destroying this makeshift city.
How did you come by your friend?
It was a mystery. It truly was, even to him. So Luca was in the capital for a archery contest that they were holding there, and he was staying in an inn. And he woke up to Vero sat on his bed, just very close to his face, staring at him. And after hilarity ensued between the two of misunderstanding and not understanding what's happening, they just decided that they were bonded, and there was nothing else really to say about it. Neither Vero claims to not have any particular reason why he was at his room and not anyone else's, and Luca hasn't really pushed him on the matter. He's just kind of accepted that one day he wasn't there and the next he was.
Fair enough. And you've got a bit of reputation as an archer, is that correct?
Yeah, he truly is the Robin Hood of the land, except he doesn't rob from the rich and he doesn't give to the poor. But
So he's just good
in
with a bow.
archery, and he doesn't have a band of merry men, so he really isn't Robin Hood, apart from being.
But he's
a
good with a bow, is he?
Yeah, he's very good with a bow.
He's won a few archery competitions, even in the city?
Yes, very, very much so. He's the, yeah.
He's even beat the Queen's personal huntsman in a competition within Valaris, right?
Well, he doesn't really brag about it, but yeah, he's won a few medals, a few trophies. He has a bit of a name for himself.
Very well. You see a sort of very quiet stepping elf. Long black hair, pulled back quite neatly, and sort of wearing a circlet of silver. He has a bow over his shoulder, but he walks like he's born to the forest. He sort of calls out to you, and Luca Wicks.
Lucas's ears like twitch, and like go in the direction of where the sound is before he turns his head, and like kind of embarrassingly like stands up and brushes the dirt off of his clothes. Hello?
Elisar, I've had the pleasure of losing to you in a few archery competitions over the years. I hunt for the Queen. He sort of reaches his hand out to shake yours, and
he kind of like looks at his hands and then goes to shake like, ah yes, nice to meet you. I remember.
he sort of makes a nod, and today my prey, I'm afraid, is you. I've come hunting you on behalf of the king.
Oh really? Do I get a head start, or is this some kind of
a different sort of hunting? Now that I've found you, I'm afraid I must ask that you come back to the castle with me, in Valaris. The king would like to requisition you for a job.
He kind of like looks at him like quizzically. I think you're probably mistaken.
There aren't many of your kind who... And then he gestures towards Vero. I think I've got the right person.
My house cat?
Well, if you'd come back to the castle with me, we'll go via your home, we'll speak to your father, but the pay is excellent and the opportunity is good. And the king needs your help.
Vera will like run up to Luke and like climb up his body and sit around his neck.
Funny house cat.
Yeah, he's okay. He's got a few jokes, but, you know, not many. And then Vera will say in Draconic, is this another pesky human for me to destroy? And Luca just like looks at him and he's like, you can drop the voice now. We're not playing this game anymore.
The elf, speaking fluent Draconic, chooses not to comment on the fact the dragon just called him a human. And will lead you via
He
home.
doesn't. Vero doesn't care. All people look the same to him.
Nope. He will lead you via your own home back to the city. And we'll come to Alora. Alora, tell us a little bit about your character. What do they look like?
Karina would look like a tall, mostly human-looking, but the tales of her mother, she's always referred to as Angel. And she has some specific abilities that lead her to believe that she might have some celestial background.
Mm-hmm.
She is tall. She's got white hair that she usually ties up in a loose ponytail with a ribbon. As far as where she is, I'd imagine she is arriving in port on her father's ship, the Dawnbreaker, where she has grown up her entire life. Probably preparing to go to the castle to have her magic lessons with the court mage Jira.
Indeed. As she has... Sorry, I'll go backwards. Magic lessons, you say. What kind of magic does Karina have?
She's always been gifted in magical arts, and it wasn't until she had, there was a few incidents of near disaster at sea. This happens quite a bit, but she has shown herself to be able to manipulate time and also objects in ways that were unexpected.
It's a very unusual form of magic, and it's obviously gained the notice of a few notable people. On this sort of mid-afternoon, a gentleman comes down to the dock. He is an older fellow. He sort of looks like he spent most of his life with his head in a book. Quite short, sort of 5'3", 5'4", not the court mage, it's worth mentioning. Sort of little tiny spectacles on the end of his nose. You recognise him to be Colgarin. Colgarin is a sort of scholar of the court. He is often seen arguing with Jera, the court mage, over their pipes about various parts of philosophy and scholarly knowledge. He looks at you and... Karina Braxton, might I borrow you for a moment?
Of course. What's going on?
The court mage won't be tutoring you today. He's off, catching a fish, one might say. Or a triton, in fact. But enough of that later. I had wondered if perhaps you might be available to be of assistance in a matter of somewhat importance.
I suppose, yeah. I mean,
it's not me requesting it, you see. It is a matter of importance to the king, in fact. A very important matter. It's quite imperative that you come up to the castle and meet with some of the others. It's a job, a well-paid job, don't worry, and not too dangerous, or maybe it is, I'm not quite sure, actually. I haven't been given the details myself. But it would seem that the king requires your assistance and presence for something of great importance. Kind of soon.
One doesn't keep the king waiting. The king?
No, indeed, one does not. Yes, the king, King Just, King of Arvenia,
Okay.
you know? Local king.
Yeah, I know
yes,
the one.
up in the castle, and then he sort of points to the castle. I'm sure you have some things to unpack. It'll take a minute. Don't rush yourself, but as you say, don't keep a king waiting. I'm going to head on up, and perhaps you might follow on up, and you'll be recognised at the gate, as per usual, and no problem, just come on in, and no need to announce yourself. As I say, matter of great importance, king's expecting you. Fantastic. Do you need anything else?
No?
Oh, brilliant.
No?
Excellent. Splendid, in fact. And with that, he sort of turns and begins to wander off up to the castle. And the castle's where we're all headed. As we come over to the castle, somehow, magically, mysteriously, you all find yourselves arriving at the same time. Imagine. Had to go hunt those tokens. So, as you sort of look around, each of you is sort of coming up the path and sees each other. The other ones sort of arriving up ahead of you, and quite a distance away. You see the castle.
Sorry, are we meant to see something?
Yeah, you do now. I had the wrong token. Sorry. You see it now?
No.
No.
No,
What?
No.
all black.
All black. Yeah.
All even the people who have dark
All of
vision?
We're
Yep, it's all
currently
black.
sleeping.
See now?
Are you sure our token's even on there?
Aye, very sure. I see them. They're here. How
Okay.
about now?
Okay, it worked when I dragged my own token on.
Okay,
don't
let's do
know.
that then. Go ahead and
That'll
put your
work.
tokens at the very bottom center of the screen. Yes.
Oh my, that's a big place.
Can you see anything?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. It is daytime, so I'm hoping you can see. Fantastic. Ah, I see. I put all of your tokens in the dynamic lighting section. So you're being light sources. That's good, isn't it? So up ahead of you, you see a huge castle. You've seen this keep many times before. Most of you, some of you, I guess, haven't. But you sort of all arrive at a relatively similar time. And you look around and, well, you see each other.
Hello? Hello, everyone? Are you also heading up toward the castle?
Everybody here summoned by the king?
Yes, I was. How about you,
Yeah.
Frank?
Yeah.
A guard sort of holds his hand up and... begging your pardon, I don't mean to interrupt, but if the king has summoned you, it's no business of mine, and your names are... and the details of the mission I'm not privy to, so... if you want to head on up, just... I wouldn't want anything of importance to fall upon ears that aren't meant to hear them. And he sort of gestures to himself.
Good thinking.
Yes, quite understood.
So he's over there, and then sort of there's another guard at the door gate who sort of looks over at you all, and it's fair to say that most of you are quite distinctive. And he sort of nods to Karina. Karina, you would have seen this guard on duty at some point before. But regardless, when you come up to the sort of... oh, sorry, I've grabbed someone's token. I don't know who it is, but I'm going to put you down. When you come up to the main gate.
As we walk up, I'm gonna walk beside names. Winona, and as we walk, I'm like, cool glasses.
Thank you. Now, see, you guys might notice. It's daytime out here, right?
Oh yeah. It's sort of this is the following day from whichever day, apart from or a few days later, apart from Karina, obviously. It's sort of 2:30 in the afternoon.
So yeah, the lenses of her glasses are actually like tinted a bit. They're almost giving off a sunglasses type vibe. And she says, "Oh, thank you. I'm a little sensitive to the sunlight up here. Had these specially made."
I try them on.
I mean, sure. I will take off my glasses, and you can see she's kind of like squinting her eyes when she takes them off. Like it's very bright out here for her. She's like,
Great, I'll take the glasses off. I'll look around. Whoa, it's dark around here.
"Yeah,
I
I've
turned off the lights.
been up here for years, and the sun is still. It gives me a headache, honestly."
I'll take them back off and pass them to her.
Thank you. Wait.
At this moment, the sort of two guards, as you see them, sort of standing either side of the main castle gate, sort of tap their sort of spears of office in. Sort of very loudly sort of shout, "On King's business!"
Yes.
Well,
Yeah. Yes.
he sort of looks at you and, "I wasn't telling you," and he sort of gestures back behind him. And as he says that, the gates to the castle open with a fairly large fanfare. And hopefully you guys can see this time, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Oh, except you're the wrong side of the gate. Go on in. Yes, you find yourself inside the main city. The main castle, the main keep. And sort of, there is a gentleman who sort of wanders on up to you, looking a little plain. And he says, "Oh, Kaylin, Luca, Karina, Winona, and Galthak, right?"
Yep.
Yes.
It's like a story.
Yeah.
It's like a story I read one time.
He looks up at Galthak and sort of, "You're big. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. Come on through." He doesn't introduce himself. He just sort of, with that, sort of about turns.
Right on past.
And off he goes. And he begins to lead you in.
All right.
I'm gonna like lean over to Kai and I'm gonna be like, "Is this where we win a golden ticket?"
You know, that's quite a possibility.
Well, in that case, bye. and just bolts, just runs off.
Karina, you would have recognized this person as the King's Herald. He makes grand announcements and opens doors. It's sort of the extent of his abilities. And he'll lead you up. And as he gets in front of the castle gate, he quite importantly, on King's business, and waves, and the guards sort of just, you can see them just shaking their head like, really? We're 4 foot from you? You couldn't have just sort of said it in a normal voice? We kind of figured they must have been on King's business. They got in the front door, didn't they? And he walks in and opens the door for you. And as you walk in the door, one by one, he kind of goes, Luco Wix! Winona Barrelite! Galthac Stonebreaker! Karina Braxton and Kaelin Nazarath! And the king sort of, yes, I did invite them. I know who they are.
As I walk down the carpet, Luca's just waving to an audience of no one.
Why?
Welcome. Wow. Whoa.
James,
And
you gave me 2 Ms.
I've got
King
2
Hans.
yous? Cool,
Yes.
which one's not you? Move your token.
There we go.
So what? Okay, I don't
I
know.
deleted one of them.
You deleted one. Okay, that's really the answer to move your token. Okay, cool. Anyway, much more importantly, yes, before you sits King Just. King Just is a gentle and well-revered leader and the King of Arvenia. And sitting next to him is his wife. I will be honest, she's not quite this pretty. Because she's just under 60 years old. But you try and find old queen art on the internet. Every single one of them is 12.
Is her skin
And
routine?
busty.
Oh my goodness.
But she looks at you and she's seen as quite stern, and she's usually quite stern depiction, but she's well loved by the sort of populace for her sort of formalness. And as you were sort of arriving in, a man sort of walks in from the side. Oh, and for some reason I need to make a new one for him. Okay, bear with me a second. I'll put it like this. I really did think I had already done this, but I seem to have missed this one. Come on, load. Yeah, so the gentleman comes in. He's looking a little foppish. Sort of very well-oiled hair. He's got a sort of full noble attire as if he was going to a ball. Father, you didn't call me. The king looks at him. No, I did not. But you seem to have invited yourself anyway. Go ahead, Regal. Meet my guests. And he sort of looks down and thank you all for coming. It is a
I'll
matter
give
of
like a curtsy quickly.
I'm
I give
gonna
a bow.
copy what Karina does.
In simple note, I'm afraid I must request your help. You will be compensated, but it's a matter that is very important and personal to me. I'm afraid that, in most undecorous fashion, I must ask you to swear both to secrecy and agree to the job before too many details are disclosed to you. But, in simple forms, something of mine has gone missing, and I need it retrieved. And this may involve a journey as far as Iskrandia, far to the northwest. By boat or by land, I am not sure. There may be dangers, and those that have taken it may be willing to fight to protect it. But, between you, I've chosen a group both known for their diplomacy, and he nods to Kai, for their muscle, and he nods to Galthac, for their ability to find things, and he nods to Fuck me. Winona. This is really difficult because it just says Michaela on your screen. Your name is not on the screen anywhere for me. I'm like, shit. For your magics. And it's my fault. It's how Bruno and I have designed the overlay. Speaking of which, we have cool overlay. Isn't it cool? And then he sort of nods to Karina for your magics. And then he nods to Luca and for your ability to deal with foes at a distance. Well, I'm afraid that I must ask each of you if you're willing to join me in my council chambers where more details will be discussed, but once we discuss those details, there is no turning back.
Of course. When he mentioned like something being lost, Winona like instinctively she already pulled out a notebook and in hand.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and give me an insight check.
Ooh, okay.
Probably not your thing, but go ahead.
Not terrible. 15.
Okay. Yeah, you get the impression that this is something of sentimental value, not of physical value.
Okay.
And he sort of looks to you each one by one, and is everybody willing to keep this secret and to join me in my council chambers to discuss this?
Luca and Vero are kind of like not so quiet discussing the pros and cons to do this in Draconic, like out loud. Vero's kind of trying to say to Luca, like, if we get a king in our pocket, we could have our own town, rig our own archery contests. And Luca's like, we don't need to rig them. And Vero's like, who cares? We should do this. We need to do this. And Luca's kind of like rolling his eyes, and then he'll look to the king and nod.
Whatever your majesty needs.
He looks to Galthak.
Galthak won't say anything. He'll take a moment to consider. And he'll just nod.
Winona?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And then he looks to Kai and...
Yes, of course. I'll help any way I can. You requested me after all.
And then he looks sort of sideways to Prince Regal and says, you're going to love this bit, son. If you'd like to join me in my private council chambers, we shall discuss the matter further. And he begins to move over to up here. Weirdly in still sitting form.
Cool.
Sorry. Let me just open the door. Yep. And you are able to go on in. I need to go and retrieve a king. Right, where did you go? There you go. You'll notice that 3 people are already in here. And immediately the first thing that you will notice, Winona, is that one of these people is... Are you lost, Galthak?
Yeah, I can't get in.
What do you mean?
He's too tall.
I can't physically...
Stop! Fucking hell, I can't fix it if you're running around like a madman, can I?
I physically couldn't get my token in the room.
Okay, cool. You'll notice immediately that there are 3 other people in this room. He then shuts the door quite firmly behind him as Regal was moving towards the door. And looks over to you and this room is soundproofed. I'm sorry.
And it's also pitch black.
What? Shouldn't be. Is it?
No, it's pitch black.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. It seems like these are giving off light, but it's pretty dark in the room.
Better?
Yes.
Oh, that's better. I can
You can see.
Okay. Yeah, the room is quite well lit. There is a torch at either side of the room. Sitting in one corner is a gentleman who... standing up out the door, I suppose, is who we should start with. Winona, you will recognize Astrid Brightlance. She's not fucking about. She's in full plate mail armor, visor down, sword out. And she's pacing up and down the room.
I'll nod to her. as I enter.
She says nothing. She's eyeing up Galthak every time she walks past, just sort of wondering if he's going to be an issue. And then sitting in the back left corner is an older-looking gentleman. No, rubbish. Is a younger-looking gentleman. Quite well dressed, dressed for court. And he sits with a pen in his hand. This is back left, by the way. Sits with a pen in his hand and a notepad. And the king will gesture to him, and this is my first counsellor, Erlen. And he gestures towards Astrid, and this is the captain of my guard, Astrid Brightglance. Don't mind her pacing. She's never been a moment out of armour, and she's ready for battle. Even in our council chambers, you can at least sheath the sword, Astrid. Sorry, King, no can do. She just keeps it out. And then he gestures towards the gentleman sat very, very quietly in the corner. It's an older-looking gentleman who looks a little shady. And he says, and no need to be alarmed, but this is both the king's assassin and my brother. Discretion. The gentleman in the corner just goes, half-brother.
I like how this family is named.
Are
these their birth names?
So I think this is a piece of information that you may all have, so I'll give it to you. Those of the Farseer family, which is to say the kings, queens, and royal family, have a sort of naming ceremony when they're born, or shortly after their birth. They're given a name for their first year of their life, such as Joseph, or Anthony, or Emily. And on their first birthday, they are brought to a ceremony, which is called a naming ceremony. It's quite old. It's sort of out over the sea. They're dipped in the sea. There are fires and whatever, and they're given a naming ceremony, where they're given a name that represents perhaps what they will come to be, and who they will come to be, who gives an idea of their personality, and perhaps their role in life. You would know, for example, that the king has 3 sons. These are Wisdom, Chivalry, and Regal. His wife, Queen Constance, and himself, King Just, obviously named for their abilities. Kai, go ahead and give me a insight check on the gentleman in the corner who has been introduced as Discretion.
13.
13? Yeah, there's a little bit of knowledge that you have here. Obviously, kings aren't usually meant to have half-brothers. In the royal line, that isn't meant to happen. Especially ones older than them. And Discretion is quite clearly older than the king. You can assume that perhaps he is not born in wedlock. And a royal bastard would not be acknowledged. And in fact, the king says to you, my brother Discretion prefers that his name is not uttered outside of these walls. He keeps himself to himself. Few of the court know him. But he's one of my most trusted advisors. Now the matter at hand. What has gone missing is my daughter. She is renowned in the land for both her beauty and her fairness. She is young, but 19 years of age. And unlike my youngest son, she is beloved by the people and very responsible. I fear for her. She has been taken by a sheik. Arman Jabir. This is Arman Jabir. He is a very wealthy Asamar, and he and his slaves are currently making their way overland towards his home with my daughter. In a moment we will go and join the court wizard and my scholar who has certain abilities to scry. A sheik, Luca, you would know, is a sort of man of great wealth and riches, sort of the head of a ruling house. There are lots of noble houses up in Iskandia. Just a quick reminder, we're going to flick out and flick back in. Oh, are we? Or are we not? No. Apparently I didn't put the map here. So, let's see if I can do that really quickly. But regardless, you will know that... no, I see the problem. Okay, cool, let's not do that. Okay, you would know that Iskrandir is, I think, to the northwest. Let me go and get the map for myself. You guys have it in your channel anyway. Yes, sorry, Iskrandir is to the southwest. Quite far to the west and a little south. And there is, in fact, a river that flows from the sea. It does involve a small trip through the Pirate Isles, but Karina, you would have sailed past that river multiple times. But Iskrandir is a big sort of deserty land, and a sheik is a very rich man within those lands. My daughter must be retrieved. I have sent 6 of my best guards, and I have sent a group of... How do I describe them? And at this point, Erlen speaks up and... Mercs. I've sent some nastier fellows. The possibility of retrieving my daughter, but they go openly. I have also sent a small army to amass on the borders of Iskrandir, but as you can imagine, I cannot send an army over the borders. Nor, in fact, unless I want to provoke war, can I even send men in my own colours. My advisor here, Erlen, suggests that your group might be the most capable and the most diverse, able to retrieve my daughter.
Diverse as we may be, we are an untested group of strangers. You think we have a better shot than your finest men?
My finest men are known by name and face. They are known to Iskrandir and known to various others within the city. They are recognizable immediately, and they're used to doing one job and doing it simply, whichever job that might be it a soldier, an advisor, a diplomat, etc. They are not a varied group of individuals who can think for themselves, nor are they unrecognized or unrecognizable. You, and he gestures to all of you, could walk into Iskrandir as merchants, as adventurers, as travellers, as pirates for all it matters, and none would be the wiser. Sorry, go on.
Luca kind of stands there, like head up slightly in thought, as he's picturing Vera with an eye patch and a parrot. He's just like, it looks like he's thinking very seriously, but that's what he's picturing.
Okay, Vera is that small, right? As he is in the picture?
Yeah, he's a small creature. He sits on the
Okay,
shoulders
just
things may change down the line, but you don't know that yet. He sort of looks over at you, and I understand what I'm asking is a hard task. And don't get me wrong, I've sent many of my men, but my advisor thinks this is the best shot. And I'd be a fool to ignore Erlen's words. He's advised me well for the last 15 years. And each of you have various skills. You're as comfortable on water, and he gestures towards Karina, as you are on land, and he gestures towards Galthak, as you are in the forests, and gestures towards Luca. Or perhaps even in the water. Or underground. And he nods to the other two. You are able fighters, at least some of you. Some of you more than capable. He nods towards Galthak. And blessed with abilities, magical and mundane. We didn't choose you lightly.
Quick question, Your Majesty. Taking your daughter isn't enough of a declaration of war?
I'm glad you came to that point, for it is most interesting. My daughter presented herself, upon my request, to our man. 14 days did Arman Jabir visit at the castle. and on each day he paid court to my daughter. She is of marriageable age, and he is a man of good bloodlines. And each day did he bring fine gifts and address her most appropriately. She in fact took a liking to him, in some ways. On the 14th day she went to his tents out in the courtyard to present herself. And that is when he took her. She did not go willingly. My scryer has seen this, and 2 of my guards witnessed, as one of his men felled her with a blow to the head. Although my guard immediately tried to go and stop them, a strange magic took them outside the castle, far down the road. My court mage has since studied it, and it is a rune of teleportation allowing swift movement between 2 places. We don't believe they can repeat this trick. My scryer has seen them multiple times upon the road with their caravans. They do not make a swift pace. Did you have other questions, Winona?
I guess, what do you know about the guards situation with the sheep?
They are well guarded. 12 men and many slaves. Though, I think you will be able to handle them, should you be able to get close enough. Or somewhat close enough, and he gestures towards Luca.
Do you know where they are now?
Well, indeed. And perhaps I could show you if we take a walk to other chambers, but I remind you that apart from my court mage and Colgiran, a scholar here, and even he not much, none in the castle are particularly aware of what has happened. The story that we have given out is that my daughter is travelling with them on a more diplomatic understanding with her guards and her maids. Her poor personal maid has been made to stay in one chamber of the castle for the last 4 days.
Lucas just kind of like whisper Vera, man, that sounds like such a sweet job. One day you're a maid for a castle, but next you get a vacation in a room and no one bothers you. Vera kind of whispers back to him, maybe you should ask to be a maid after this.
Oh, fucking God.
What are we going to do with you?
Lock him in a room.
Yeah, look, I'm going to turn him into a mage. Okay, sorry, I just had to set this up so that we had a map. I don't know how it didn't. I forgot to do this. Okay, where are we? Boop, there we go. Fantastic. In we go. Yeah, and with that, he'll sort of gesture towards the door, and shall we?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And he will suggest that you guys move on out. Oh, you can't get out. Sorry. Somebody will open the door. There we go. And he shall lead you round to... Oh, come on, move, door. I'm just going to ping, because he's already made... I'm pinging in the wrong level, aren't I? Yes, well done, Karina. Yeah, go find Karina. Go find her. God, guys, you could do it. Fantastic. And as you come in, there are 2 gentlemen already engaged in conversation with each other. The first is the court mage. Karina will recognize Jera. Kai, you will also recognize the court mage, although last time you saw him, he had a bubble over his head. And he is engaged in sort of avid conversation with Colgaran. Colgaran is currently looking at a scroll in a book or something. And they're both arguing, yes, but it's just simply not the apex of it, is it? One must look at various angles from the situation if they're going to work it out. And the other one, Colgaren, sort of, yes, well, but if you take a look at some of the older writings, it doesn't state it in that simple... The king sort of, gentlemen, if we may, and could you please put that pipe away in here, Colgaren? With that, he sort of, the wizard motions and the door sort of slams closed. Does it slam closed? Can it slam closed? Oh, the door rotates on its axis multiple times. He's not very good at controlling the door. He's still working on his, what do you call it, telekinesis abilities, regardless. And he sort of leads you over to what is a map, as you guys may see. And, well... Shall we take a closer look? And he turns to Colgaren and... can you do the thing with the basin? Oh, yeah, well, I should think so. It shouldn't be a problem. And the wizard sort of summons up a scrying bowl in front of the map. And you guys are able to see what is effectively a map of Arvenia. And is also sort of a scrying bowl inside it. Sort of hovering over the image. And what you see is a very finely dressed gentleman in gold and silver, sitting upon what looks to be a camel. There are 4 or 5 of these camels, and then behind them are sort of caravans and carts. The princess has her hands bound and her legs bound to the camel that she rides next to him. And he points, that is our man, Jadir. And that is my daughter.
I have a question. Is Sorcerer's Isle Azkaban? Because
wouldn't you like to know? You've never been there, you don't know much about it. You've seen this map before and had plenty of time to ask those questions out of session. Regardless, I'm putting a pin in it. Bear with me a second.
Right.
Yep, go on. So,
Jabir's, he's from Anaxul in Iskandria, right? Or Iskandria?
Well, I don't know. Oh my goodness, giddy aunt. Well, he is from Iskandria. Anaxul is the main city there, but each noble, from what I understand, or their equivalent of noble, has has their own house and estates outside of the city. I would suggest you go to Anaxul and then find from there. Although, that is if you plan to beat them there. If you plan to catch them on the road. So there's a pin here. I don't know if you guys can see it. Just left of Tradeford.
Yep.
That is where they are right now, though they will most likely cross the Crystal Lake on boat, as it is the quickest way. Although there are potentials for them going up the river further on. I'm not sure.
I'd rather catch them before they reach Iskandria.
The sort of wizard looks at you and looks at the map and looks at you, and I would think that would be impossible. Before they reach their home, maybe. But before they reach Iskandria borders, they are only perhaps a week away, if that.
You picked a Goliath to go to Iskandria.
Is there a problem with that?
We melt.
Oh, you'll get a suntan. And what
sweltering hot.
The king sort of looks at you, and I was I was given to understand that your people don't like the heat, but Iskandria isn't that hot. I mean, it's normal. It's weather. Sort of looks at you like an idiot. Mechanically, there is absolutely no reason why you can't go there. It's hot, and you'll be uncomfortable, but that's about it.
He sort of grudgingly groan and say, "Fine."
He begins to point to the map, and he was saying, "Well, to travel up the river to perhaps the Crystal Lake. So if you guys have a look at like Prosper Inlet, right, you head up that way. Would take perhaps 6 days from here. To travel via sea all the way round to the river of Anaxul, up there and up that river, perhaps 8 days by boat. to travel overland to get to Sandford, which is the whole county, by the way, not a specific place. Perhaps a week. If you wish to overtake them, a boat to Iskrandia would be the quickest. But you must guess their path to achieve that. Perhaps
No
waiting...
way to maintain contact.
Perhaps once a day. Was it says, and I cannot maintain contact over such a distance more than once or twice a day. We can track your progress with scrying like this, but little else. Colgaron sort of, I feel awful that at this moment I should be making the journey as well. I would like very much to be able to, but these old bones, I'll just hold you back, you know?
Is there a way to get a head start, like they did with the teleportation?
Their teleport took them only 600 feet. Given that the journey is some 1,200 miles, it wouldn't be much of a head start. Their teleport sort of took them outside the castle. Nobody here is capable of casting any sort of powerful magic that would teleport you all there, otherwise they'd have already done it with the guards. We may have been able to hold them at the border for a little while. As I said, we have lined the border with troops as far away as possible to make it look like they're doing standard practice maneuvers and those sorts of things. Luckily for us, there has recently been a rather drastic fire at a small village in the west of Sandford. This little village here. So we were able to send some soldiers there to assist, but also to be in the nearby area. If we can hold them up a little bit, perhaps you can get ahead of them, but I would expect that it will be our man Jabir's estate that you must get to. If you retrieve my daughter, I'll give you 10,000 gold each.
Goodness.
And the exact location of his estate is unknown?
We do not know. Scrying over the border into... Well, I'm not sure I understand it, to be honest. And the sort of Golgaran... The thing is that scrying uses water from the land of Arvenia. I don't know how it is, but the magic seems to be limited almost entirely to Arvenia, and perhaps the edges of the water. Perhaps if I had a bowl of water from Anok's Soul, I might be able to scry Iskrandia, but, well, I don't, and frankly, I'm not sure there's any water in the place anyway. He says while looking directly at a three-tiered river through the desert. But, you know, the guy's an idiot. What can I say? Maybe it's salt water, I don't know.
Is there a particular place in the border that is like the entrance to Iskrandia that we should expect them to head towards?
The roads are but trails up there, and there are lots of them. Or so I'm told. This Miss Brightlance pops up, Astrid, who did come in, I promise, as did the others, but we couldn't fit them all in the room. Sodom. She says, I've fought up there. Trails, paths, dunes, deserts. Sometimes you can't even see over a couple of hills. There are thousands of entrances into Iskrandia. Nightmare to try and man the border. Otherwise, that would be our primary plan. Or something. I don't make the plans.
It sounds to me like we know where exactly. Would it be wisest to just head straight for the city?
Erlen sort of looks at you, the advisor. It would be my advice to take a boat via the sea and enter Anoxel. And after that, ask around for where the estates of Armand Jabir might be, and make your way there overland. Though, potentially there is something to be said for instead heading up the river to the Crystal Lake and making your way over the borders yourself. Perhaps if his estates are nearer the borders, it would save you turning around and, well, who knows what else information you might garner. But either way, I would take a boat at least some of the way. 'Tis swifter. Sorry, I've taken the map away. It's probably not very helpful to you guys, is it, actually? Let's leave us on the map. Yeah. So his suggestion is that you either take a boat up to the Crystal Lake, and indeed all the way up to sort of the edge of the Scrandia border, or go around the sea and take a boat up to Anoxul itself. If you take a boat to Anoxul itself, you will need to acquire a different boat or find somebody to take you up the river itself. You wouldn't want to go up in a kingdom boat for the same reason that you wouldn't go across the border with kingdom soldiers. But a local merchant. Karina, go ahead and give me I want a geography check. I don't really know what that is. Go ahead.
Intelligence?
Yeah, maybe just a straight intelligence check. Maybe a history check. If you've got any extra modifiers for that, I'll take a history check.
16.
16, yeah. The lands at the bottom of this Scrandia are the Pirate Isles, so you would have known them. Your father probably keeps a little bit of a wide berth, travelling via the Spice Isles, and beyond that south to Jamalia City. But you may have skirted the borders a few times of the Pirate Isles, and certainly you would have met traders who have been to the Pirate Isles on the sea. It's rough, but they have a code of honour over there. You'll definitely be able to hire a boat if you've got money. Money talks. But obviously none of you are currently carrying enough money to hire a boat. You might have realised that, Karina, pretty quickly.
Oh no. Oh wait, was Karina like introduced as a sailor, or is that?
No, as yet. Well, yes, there was a sort of. She was nodded towards as one who is at home on the water and boats.
Yeah, because I would want to. Well, I would look at Karina and Kaylin and say, I feel like the two of you would know best about traveling by boat. What are your opinions?
I've been up and down the shores and down toward these isles down here. I am wary of the Pirate Isles, especially if we have no coin to throw.
Well, that we'll manage that. And he gestures towards Discretion, and Discretion sort of hands you a tiny little black velvet pouch. Then the advisor Erlen hands you a coin pouch. In there you'll find 100 gold pieces. Should be more than enough to purchase you passage, but my brother suggests that perhaps a little more subtle a coin could be useful. And inside the tiny pouch you'll find 10 diamonds. Each one is worth 100 gold.
Diamonds is subtle.
Well, gems trade more easily, especially with pirates. It's usually best to give them something they can change into their own type of coin. They don't much like using the kingdom coin.
Sorry, how many diamonds did you say?
10 diamonds, each worth 100 gold. So 1,000 gold piece worth of diamonds. And sort of Discretion looks at you, and I've travelled the Pirate Isles extensively. They'll take money. Diamonds is good money for them, but you can buy loyalty far more easily in the Pirate Isles than you can find it in the cities. They might be freebooters, but they have to have ways of traders travelling safely. They can't grow much over there. Do we need the map
Well, I
any
believe
further?
both directions have merit. But if we are to be a team, I think everybody should have a voice.
Is it worth mentioning at this point, who would have never been on a boat?
I certainly have. I don't.
Oh no.
You got 3 of you who've never been on a boat. Certainly a boat
Yep.
at that size, and I can't imagine Kai is particularly used to boats, seeing as
No.
he can probably swim faster than most of them.
How big is this boat again?
Well, it depends. It depends on which way you're going. You know, if you're going to take a merchant ship, then it might be a
Yeah,
huge
fair enough.
trimaster. But if you're going to take a tiny little boat, then it'll be a tiny little boat.
Did you have a vessel in mind for this?
Well, perhaps yes. There is a merchant in what do you call them? In port. In dock is the word that was going into my mind. There is a merchant in port. He could be of use, I would guess. Fuck knows where his boat is, though. I've hidden it in a folder somewhere. There we go. Sorry, I'm just bringing it up to show you. Or not, apparently. Come along. Come along, you can do it. So this is the Galliad. Oh, there you go. This is the Galliad. It's a fair ship, a big ship. It could take you to the Pirate Isles, could take you indeed right up to the entrance to the river of Anoxul if you wish to travel straight there. The master of the ship, he's a character, that's for sure. Let's just say that he is more familiar with the Pirate Isles than he is with regular port, though he is now officially a trader. He is also one of my most useful informants. Oh, sorry, his name's Dathron. I probably should have mentioned that somewhere in that sentence. Yes, Dathron is, basically you get the impression that he once was a pirate, but now he's an informant and an assistant. That's the Galliad. It's in port right now. In fact, I have paid him most handsomely to wait, on the off chance that you might want to take a boat with him.
I mean, that sounds like as good a plan as any.
I would suggest that you take this eve and perhaps the morning to prepare yourselves, buy anything that you need. The shops of the city, obviously, maybe of help, and he puts a second pouch of 100 gold pieces up on the table, and by all means, provision yourself well. And anything that you need from the armory, help yourself.
Wow.
It's my daughter. I'll pay any amount of money.
Understandable, Your Majesty.
So is that 20 gold each? Or are we not
Sure.
splitting it? Are we just keeping it all as one?
I would just keep it in a pile. You've already been able to buy all of the best tier of armor and weapons and that sort of stuff. I've already got you guys to put that in your inventory, I believe. Unless anybody missed it. If you're medium or heavy, you should be one below the top tier. So no half plate and no plate. Those need to be made individually, and there's no time for that. But other than that, yeah, the best tier of weapon and armor that you can get. And then what's left is assumably that 100 gold will cover you for things like potions. It'll get you a couple of potions. It'll get you some other stuff if you need. And I'll let you sort of chat about that in the break, if that's all right, actually. Which is, unless you have any more questions, are you in agreement then? You'll be taking the boat, the Galliad, and then finding a boat up the river to Anoxul directly? So basically, guys, you're discussing taking a boat to, give me a circle in bright green, right, to here?
Yeah, I'm gonna defer to the people who have been on boats before.
To Karina?
Yep.
So we filling that ship to here and then procuring a different ship.
Yeah, a riverboat.
For-
A riverboat, preferably one that isn't kingdom-based. It has nothing
think
to
I
do with
would-
Arvania.
Prefer to be ahead of them than attempting to catch up when we don't know which direction they're going.
Exactly.
Karina, I shall teach you a basic ability to receive ascending. Perhaps we can communicate once per day, check on your progress, and maybe give you any knowledge we have or news from our scrying. I think I can manage once a day. Dude ain't prepared to do sending more than once a day, I'm afraid. He's not very strong.
He's the court mage. He's a wimp.
Oh, yeah, no, that's for context. That is the strongest mage in the entire land.
Oh boy.
And they're not
He's
willing
like-
to do sending more than once.
No, it's not they're not willing. He can't.
He only has
That's
one
like-
spell slot.
That is like all his energy. That's all he can achieve on a day. Is that and like a few lesser spells.
Damn,
Use
Kingdom's
ascending
screwed.
stones.
Well, no, I mean, it's just to give you a context. Like, level 5 is about as high a level as you'll find a character of human wheel in Arvenia. That is about as high as you'll ever find a character's level.
Gosh, no wonder the princess was kidnapped.
Yeah.
Well, to just the whole world. Okay, let's just say Arvenia. Like, the whole world, like humanoids, that is about as powerful as they get.
Right.
How you
did
guys
he
are-
get to level- how
Well,
did
that's what
he
I'm
get
saying.
to
You
level
guys are
3?
truly blessed with great abilities. Like,
We're
His best
special.
warriors were a bunch of level 1 fighters.
yeah, pretty much. You know, you guys really are like quite blessed in your abilities and your power. You know, I just sort of, like I said, it's a
Damn.
heroic start. You're heroes. That's why he sent for you guys. You're the best at what you do. There is no archer in the land who can shoot a bow better than Luca up there. There is nobody with the magical powers that Karina specifically has. No diplomat more refined. Nobody's better at finding things and stabbing bitches. That is what your character does, right?
That is what I do.
Great. But yeah, with that, I think we'll take a short break. Let you guys decide if there's anything you need to purchase from the city stores. And we'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. The second half of Arvenia, Soulforged. As the king has sort of finished explaining you the mission, he suggests that perhaps you take the afternoon in town to do any shopping you might need. He has secured you rooms, however, at the Seahorse and Sickle. It's the nicest of taverns down at Valaris Town. He could room you up in the keep, but frankly, it would be a large waste of time to go up to the keep and then back down to the keep, just to go down to the docks. So he secured your room at the Seahorse and Sickle, and he suggests that you head on down to Valaris Town proper. Just before we return fully, thank you very much for the raid, Derek. I hope you had a great stream. For those of you who don't know, Derek mostly streams D&D, though I have caught him doing various other things, such as Foundry, etc. No, I don't mean Foundry. Phasmophobia is what I mean. But was probably doing Tailspire things, creating images and maps for his players. Regardless, we pick back up with you guys sort of headed down into town, doing a little bit of shopping, and finally, about 6:30ish, there may have been a few words exchanged on the road, but it's fair to say you probably didn't have a lengthy chat in any of those places. We pick up in the Seahorse and Sickle, where you arrive perhaps in time for dinner. I hand over to you guys as you'll take a seat down in there.
All right. Well, I guess formal introductions. I mean, I've heard each of your names, but starting with myself, I am Kylan, but I prefer Kai, and you can use whatever pronoun you want for me. I don't really care all that much. I'm originally from a city out in the East Underwater. It's a very lovely place. Who knows? Maybe I'll, if all of you are willing, perhaps visit someday. But that's long way. What are you all about?
I guess I will go. I'm Karina Braxton. My father, Marcus, captains the Dawnbreaker. It's a trading vessel. We just arrived in port earlier today, actually. It's all sort of unexpected. I guess I'm not from anywhere. I'm from the sea.
You probably were above me at one point.
How do you find that the sea? I've never been on a boat. Oh, sorry, I'm Winona. Barrelite, as you might have heard. But I'm a little, if I can be honest with you all, a little nervous about sailing for the first time. Is there something I should be aware of?
Well, I'm not very well versed at sea. I probably would ask Karina for more. I've only been on a ship a few times, and that's only through meeting other sailors and such.
Okay.
You'll get less
sorry.
seasick if you're above deck.
Less seasick above deck. She's like writing
Seasick.
that down.
Yeah, a lot of new people tend to get kind of nauseous when, it's moving and you're not moving yourself. It's not that bad, I promise. But sometimes it gets a little choppy. If it gets really choppy, you want to tie yourself to the ship.
Oh.
I would have thought it
Well,
would have been like
maybe-
taking a carriage,
You might not
Or
want to tie yourself to
riding
the
a
ship. You might be
horse.
fine.
but on water. Is it not?
I've never ridden a horse, so I guess I can't really compare.
Horses
that's
are
bloody
known as
useless.
escrians or equarians. How are they pronounced again?
Equestrians?
That's the word. I believe I've seen a few, but they're like the four-legged and sort of have that. Like,
It's worth
longer
mentioning
nose.
that you guys will have seen 30 or 40 horses in the time that you have come from the castle to the town.
My statement stands.
Pulling
Yeah, I wasn't
carts
sure
and
what they were looking at.
guards
What
riding
I
out
s-
on them and stuff. So basically, it's almost 3/4 of a mile from the castle down to the town. By the way, Jamal, roll me a d100. It's almost 3/4 of a mile from the castle down to the main town. So a lot of nobles and guards, if they're in a hurry, will ride up. It's not great for the horses' hooves as it's cobbled stones, but they do it anyway. What did you get, Jamal?
86.
86. Oh, good God. Yeah, as you're sort of fidgeting with the underside of the table, you find an arrow stuck to it. This is so long I can't even fit it in the Roll20 chat, I don't think. Oh, there you go. It's an arrow of flying. This arrow grants a +1 to hit, and if it matters, by the time it actually does hit, a +1 to damage. Successful attack is made while firing this arrow. It'll fly away into the sky, zooming around in various different directions for 1d12 turns, at which time it'll finally strike its target. It's fired indoors or in a dungeon. It flies to the nearest exit and take the fastest route outside so it can fly. If there's no exits, it's buzz around like an angry hornet for however many turns are rolled, and then makes a beeline straight back to the person who fired it and strikes them as if they were the original target. I have no idea what you're going to do with that, but happy Christmas.
Who made this and why?
So this is Biora. Biora makes a big list of slightly useless items. Every time Derek pops into our stream, he likes to give one out to a player. And today, Jamal, you are the welcoming recipient. Some of them can be quite useful. I fail to see when you're going to spend a turn firing an arrow that may arrive in 12 turns. But good luck.
Considering that I don't use a bow as well, I'll just...
You do now. You just use the arrow. It's attuned to you forevermore. If you give it to Luca, it'll fly around for 12 turns and then stab you in the eye.
Well, I'll try at least.
You take 1 piercing damage 12 rounds later after it buzzed away past Luca, randomly towards the door, and then straight back towards you.
What is this ungodly thing? Blasted arrow.
It hovers around your head briefly and then flies into your pocket.
Okay.
I
Maybe
think you have a
tie something
friend.
with it that you don't want anybody to get their hands on.
I didn't come here looking for a friend. Why do I now have a sentient-seeming arrow?
Friends have a way of finding you, and I'll give like a small smile to Vero.
I've
So,
been meaning
yeah,
to ask
speaking
about,
of,
yeah, your little friend there. It's a dragon?
yeah,
Is it a dragon?
it's a dragon.
Is it a dragon? 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 Is it Like a baby? Or
Yeah, I mean, sometimes he acts like one. But yeah, he's a real dragon.
Is he like? And I'll snap my fingers, and seemingly from out of nowhere, a small bird will come down and land on my shoulder. This is Zephyr. Is your companion like this? Like a fine familiar? Cough, cough. Aww.
To really get that cough looked at. uh, would I know what the Find Familiar spell is? Would I have any?
You know that you didn't have to do any... Oh, wait. Does... Alora, do you have to incant to summon it?
I would have done it previously, so at this point, no.
No, right, okay. So, yeah, in some ways, Josh, your dragon appears a thought, right? From the necklace and...
Yeah, I think
away.
the only difference is I can't dismiss it, right? Him.
Yeah, you can dismiss it into a necklace, can you, Alora? You can, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
She knows more than I do about the dragon. Ask her.
I'll look at the little bird and back at her. Yeah, in some ways similar, but in others not. But pretty close. If it was scaly and, spoke.
That's probably the key difference, is that the dragon speaks. And, Alora, you would have heard... Karina, you would have heard the dragon speaking out loud in Draconic, which you know your falcon can't do, right? It just squawks.
Yes. So how did you two meet, then?
A tale as old as time. Boy wakes up in tavern. Dragon finds boy. Boy touches weird amulet. Amulet connects boy with dragon. Boy stumbles learning new language. And here we are.
I'm having Aragon flashbacks right now, by the way
Yeah.
you describe that.
Yeah, kind
What
of.
is this Aragon you speak of?
Just as random as that sounds, really. I don't know really where he came from. Doesn't really like talking about it. So yeah, he just kind of appeared and wanted me to bond with him. Yeah.
Well, that's a way to make friends.
Yeah, I usually wait till like the second, third date before I touch someone's necklace and bond to them for life. But I was feeling wild that day, so
when it feels right, you just know.
just no.
Okay. Galthak is your name, right? Like, I think Winona is like a little afraid to face him directly because he's so much huger than he is. How tall is he exactly? Because she's like 3
Ooh,
feet.
good question. Gonna be definitely over 7 foot, close to like 8 or something, right?
Okay, yeah. So
You can't be under 7'6" as a Goliath, so yeah, you're probably closer
Yeah,
to
yeah.
8 foot.
Yeah. So yeah, he's probably just shy of 8 then.
so almost triple her height, and she's just like it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He's pretty huge. But yeah. Galthak's a name, yeah. That's me.
You're from up north, right? Have you spent a lot of time down here in the
I-
King's lands?
I haven't been here too long. I've been here maybe somewhere between half a year to a year. It's not been very long. But yeah, I came from the ice wastes. That's way out to the west.
Is it very hot out here for you?
Oh yeah. To be
Is he like
honest,
sweating?
mildly. mildly. It's not too bad here, but it's harder than what he's comfortable with. He's mostly used to it by now. He's acclimated, but the snowy lands are significantly colder than here, at least. So
I also haven't been here super long time, going on 2.5 years since I came from the Underdark.
the Underdark.
Yeah, it's just like the name sounds. Under and very dark.
Underground, pitch black. Can you see down now?
A lot better than up here, actually. She like taps the glasses. I don't know how you guys deal. It's so bright up.
At this point, Galthak's just raising an eyebrow. He cannot see in the dark, in case you were wondering. That's why he's looking at you like,
Oh, at all?
what did you just say? No. He's
Wait,
he
do y'all
cannot
have
really
dark
see
vision?
in the dark, no.
Except for, oh no.
Oh, he has Jack and shit.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a concept.
Wait, so up here's bright for you.
It's I'm still adjusting, okay? And on that note, how do you all deal with like nothing overhead all the time? Doesn't that make you nervous?
Quite the opposite.
Are you scared you're gonna fall into the sky?
Well, she's
It
looking
might be now.
pretty panicked. I wasn't until you said, does that happen?
No, that doesn't happen.
I can't stand looking straight up at it. I feel kind of sick.
That's interesting.
With your sensitivity to light, you might want something a little stronger than those glasses, although they do look impressive.
Them specially made. You know, gnomes love just tinkering and making all kinds of weird contraptions.
The sea is beautiful, but it sure does reflect the sunlight.
What the fuck is that, James?
Game's okay.
It's the size
What?
of a fucking house.
What is that, a spider?
Yeah, I'm not scared of spiders.
Oh
but
god!
Jesus, it's huge.
That reaction was that killed me.
I just see James shit himself.
It climbed over the edge of my curtain and then just like dropped on its web. I was like, what the?
Oh my god.
Oh hell no.
Anyway, back to the point. Didn't somebody ask a question before I jumped out of my skin?
You said something about the light reflecting off the sea.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind.
Speaking of light reflecting, I highly recommend don't go to the snowier lands. The sun glares off the snow and it's incredibly bright during day. You would be quite
Sure.
uncomfortable.
Okay, question. Does it snow out here?
Yeah. Yeah, it does in the winter. You would have
Okay.
seen snow, but it's not the same as like pure alpine
it's
lands
not.
of glaciers and ice and, you know, miles upon miles of snow. And also, the sun is out for a lot longer up in the ice plains, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's fair to say that Winona's goggles are very good at sort of getting rid of any issues from the sun.
Yeah, they're basically
They're very
transition
well
limits.
made. Yeah.
Okay.
May I see these goggles
Oh.
for a moment?
Just bear in mind they're prescription goggles, aren't they? So
Yeah, I just want to
It's
try something real quick.
yeah, without your dark vision, it's basically like covering your head in a blindfold.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Wow.
Go
Wow,
ahead.
I can't see shit.
No.
How do you do this? I'll just hand these goggles back very carefully and gently. How
She's
do you
like-
see with these?
I mean, you get used to it. Like anything?
Strange
Anyone
person.
else? Before I put these, because this is now the second person today to ask to try on her glasses.
I'm
Anyone
fine.
else? Okay. Just put it back on awkwardly.
At this point, a dwarf sort of wanders on over, will you be staying for food? You've got our own booked, but you're eating here, right?
Of course.
Aye, we've got
See, why
goose on
not?
the spit. It'll be roasted with some stew and some vegetables. Is that all right for the lot of you?
Is there enough for me? Not just gesture to
Aye,
how
there is
fucking
enough.
huge I am.
Sometimes we feed whole armies. You are but one man, albeit a little bit of a big one.
I assume you're capable of hydrating them as well.
Aye, we've got another couple of kegs on the way up. It can get a little busier in here in the evening, but not so much. Your rooms are prepped upstairs. Your keys here, and he gives you sort of 6 old bronze keys. They're the first 6 doors on your left when you go up the stairs. I hope you have a pleasant evening. And yeah, 5, whatever. Fuck off.
What
Don't forget
bird
dragon.
did you say was on the spit?
There's a goose on the spit, lad.
Sure. Is this table service?
Aye, we bring it over.
Okay. When you bring my food over, can you also bring a couple of extra goose legs?
Do you want them cooked or raw?
Cook? I don't know what dragons eat.
I doubt it's cooked usually, but okay.
Well, lightning can set things on fire, and that fire would cook an animal. There are
Let him
logics
cook for
there.
himself.
Maybe one cooked, one uncooked.
I will see what he prefers. Right, well, be that as it may. Would you like the screen pulled round to give you some privacy? So you're kind of sitting in an off room of the tavern, and there is a screen that can be pulled sort of across. That's like, it's just a divider, but it gives you a little bit of sort of distance from the rest of the building. If you want to discuss matters more, well,
Yeah, that might be a good idea, actually.
I'll do that when I've got your food over. And after about 20 minutes, he comes back, basically with 2 geese. He puts 1 goose on the table in front of Galthak and 1 goose on the table in front of the rest of you. It's been plucked and cooked. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty much in its full sense. There's a massive carving knife, a cleaver, and a huge fork. And then he puts plates out in front of the 5 of you, and a platter of sort of vegetables and potatoes, and sort of lets you at it.
How much money would I have been carrying at this point, out of curiosity?
However much is on your character, plus however much you guys divided up between you. Fairly irrelevant as all the food and drink is paid for.
Oh, I was going to tip him some extra for bringing
can
me
tip
an
him a
entire
gold.
bloody goose.
Yeah, you can tip him a gold.
Sure, it's just at the minute I have 0 gold because I had
Excellent service.
created my character and it started with 0. I don't know if that was meant to be intended.
No, you can start with 10.
Okay. Then I'll tip him a gold.
As we're eating, I'm gonna, I have a drumstick in my head, I'm just gesturing with it. So, Karina, couldn't you just turn back time before the princess was kidnapped and save her? It's kind of very widely, gesturing with this drumstick.
I've got small gifts to do with time. If, say, a knife was thrown at you and it hit you in the face, I might be able to rectify that situation. As far as going back in time, not so much.
Wait, can you explain that again? How does that work?
Yeah, can you run that by me one
I
more
don't.
time as well?
Okay, none of us have probably seen any kind of magic like this before, right? This is really shocking. What I just heard.
Oh no, never.
I will hand Galthak a cup, an empty cup. Will you just chuck this at somebody?
That's you, or someone else.
Sure, me. That's fine. That's better than somebody else, probably.
Okay, I'll take a few steps back and lightly toss, sort of, so she'd be able to catch it.
I catch it, and then I toss it back. No, throw it at me.
You want me to throw this at you as hard as I can?
Yes,
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay then. I'll just barrel this down at full strength then.
You will probably see it, like, and hit Karina, but then it reverses, and the cup goes back toward midair, and just the last second, it moves forward again, and Karina just shifts out of the way. And the cup goes flying by.
And I'm hoping it doesn't hit somebody behind.
No, sort of Karina gestures and the cup sort of comes sort of almost out of her face and then she shifts out the way and it just hits the wall behind her.
Well,
So, yeah, that.
that's a power.
I see. Yeah. Makes sense why the king would come looking to you. Goodness.
At this point, I'd like to hope there's this little dent in the wall from where the cup hit it.
There's a dent in the wall and the cup is not looking great. It's had better days.
Aw.
I'll just mage hand, pick up the cup, and carry it back over to the table where I sat back down.
Is this cup like a copper or pewter thing or something? Or
Yeah, it's pewter. It's sort of fairly nicely cast. It's a decent tavern. And, of course, it was your drinking vessel.
I'll just bend it back into shape with my hands.
Okay. Yep, that works. It leaks ever so slightly out the top, but considering the speed at which Galthak's drinking, it won't it won't be up the top much often.
Yeah, what is everyone drinking? I'm curious.
He put a massive jug of ale and 5 cups on the table and walked off.
Oh, okay.
That was
Maybe we had special cocktails made.
So most ale here is fairly, it's a little watery in flavor. It's not like thick and strong alcohol. You could drink ale from dawn till dusk and you'd feel all right. Even sort of teenagers, 12, 13, 14 would drink ale at the table with their family. It's just the drink that is handed out.
Oh, great. We're basically drinking Bud Light.
Basically, the main... Well, no, way lighter than that. The logic being, basically, is the ale is the way of flavouring the water, right? Because the water from the river is not great. The water from the sea is made of salt. So it's better to have ale than it is to have water, because the water tastes like shit. At least the ale disguises the flavour of the water.
Oh, so it's just light beer then. It's really the light stuff. Yeah.
It's beer-flavoured water.
Yep.
That's sad. Okay.
Apart from that, really the only things that are drank are like... if at a posh place, you might get water cleaned by a mage or cleric, but other than that, it's just wine, ale, and in some of the sort of hotter places, some chilled juices from fruits, but not at this city. Ale and wine is pretty much the only fare.
Hey. Enjoying my watered down wine. I'm gonna look at Kai. I hope this isn't rude to ask. Can you breathe okay up here? How does that work?
Well, I can breathe relatively fine. The first time I came up to the surface...
Did it hurt?
Yes, but only because I held my breath because I was afraid to take a breath.
Oh.
But after the first breath, it's different. But it's livable.
Okay, good.
I won't suddenly start choking.
I've just never met someone from below the sea. I was
Yeah,
curious
that's-
about how that works.
I mean, that's understandable. Most of our kind sticks to the sea, and we don't interact a ton with the land.
You'll catch us if we fall overboard, right?
Well, if you fall overboard, I'll jump in after you, yes?
Okay, good. I think I'll probably sink.
I don't know how to swim, I take it.
As you guys are having this conversation, you hear a bit of commotion up at the bar. And after a few moments, Astrid Brightlance sort of pops her head round the corner of the corner of the screen. And sorry to interrupt. It's just the king forgot to give you something. And she puts an envelope on the table, and there's a necklace that belongs to the Queen, Constance. The king's daughter, Grace. She'll recognise it. It'll allow for her to trust you in case she doesn't want to go with you.
Okay, thank you
Would
very much.
assume
Sorry, go-
Anybody would be better than Chapter.
Well, we'd hope. Look, it's not my place to say much, but just because she didn't go willingly doesn't mean she might not be happy about it.
Do you think they're putting on a show?
No, I don't. I do think she was taken by force, but the Sheik, our man, he had us all believing he was a lovely man, a good man. I've heard tales of how they treat their slaves and whatever over at Scrandia, but from what I've seen, he's a pleasant gentleman, a courtier. He had great coin and riches that we'd not seen, and courtly manners, and a fair face. Given enough time, any woman might enjoy his company. Until he took the princess, I liked him. Not romantically, but I liked him.
Can you imagine why he would have taken her? It sounds like things were going well. She liked him.
The king was unlikely to give Grace's hand away to anyone for the next few years. He was able to broker for various different bits of peace with different border lords and such, and keep his own more inland nobles happy with, by keeping the offer on the table, so to speak. Once,
Charming man turned kidnapper due to lack of patience?
well, I think it's also quite traditional for their people. In Escrandia, they have many wives, harems, with many concubines and many wives. And some of them are heroically rescued from other lords and sheiks. Tis a great pride for a woman there to be taken by a man with a little bit of force. I don't mean taken in the bedroom sense, but taken from one harem to another. A man who thinks her worthy of capture, who can show his braveness and his cleverness at taking her and bringing her back home, can garner a great deal of respect from the women there. It's a very different culture over there.
As he's saying this, Luca has like this smirk on his face, and then when he says, we don't mean taken in the bedroom sense, Luca's smile drops.
Sounds utterly barbaric.
Well, perhaps, although peoples are different in different places. It would take something like that for a man to win my respect. Speaking of which, she looks over at Galthak. Friendly arm wrestle? She is the captain of the guard, and she's still wearing plate mail armor. If
Why
you're
not?
up for it. Yeah,
Why not?
come on.
Let's go.
And with that, she sort of sits down at the table and sticks her arm out, and well, go on then. Roll me a d20. no, just give me an athletics check. Actually, I was going to say strength check, but give me an athletics check. Oh my god.
She could kick my ass at this. She's
I'm
captain.
gonna lean over to Kai and be like, 2 gold says that the Goliath wins.
2 gold for the captain.
I know already she's one of the few people that could probably take me on and have a good chance of winning.
She's got, as you sort of put your hands together, you'll notice that you're more than a match for her in strength. She's nowhere near your match in strength, but you can tell she's practiced. These muscles are well toned and well used for this as much as anything else. She's got the wrist of a weapon wielder.
Oh, yeah.
Whilst she might not be able to throw somebody across a bar like you could, this is something she can do well. However, your strength overpowers her. You got a 13, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, your strength overpowers her, as she only got an 11. She looks at you and smiles, and perhaps it would be different on the practice course, and she pats her sword, but you're mighty strong.
A spar. That'd be an interesting challenge one day.
Retrieve the king's daughter, and I'll spar with you all you like.
All the time for that another day.
I'm gonna turn to Kai. Well, time to pay up.
Yeah. Here you go. And over to Silver.
I'll grab my ever so slightly leaky tankard, tweak it a little bit more to fix it, raise it up.
I don't drink on duty, but have a good day. And with that, she sort of heads on out. Can we just return back to the 2 silver moment?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll take his 2 silver, and then I'll give him a wink and give him 1 silver back.
Thank you.
And with that, it's fair to say that your characters spend the evening in conversation, and in the morning you'll have to requisition a boat, nice and early. However, I think that's where we're going to end. With you guys drinking, because that seems like a good foundation for a campaign. With that said, let's come to MVPs. Laura, I think you were last, so you're first.
I'm just liking this campaign already with the characters. I think we're melding well. I like it. It's just the whole thing.
You are lagging very badly, but I think what you said is you're liking the campaign so far because the characters are melding well?
Melding well, yes.
Great, okay, cool. I wasn't sure if it was melding or molding.
Yes, we're molding very well.
Josh.
Mine. I don't know, not much have happened. I guess I really liked our whole getting to know each other at the tavern.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think this is going to be a really fun party dynamic. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this goes. Also, I really hope that we've got combat next episode. I wanted to play combat so much.
You went by boat. We'll see.
We could, in Dragon Quest, when you're sailing by boats, monsters just jump on your ship.
Yeah, I just want you to get an idea for how complicated it might be as a DM to run a combat on a ship with random monsters going past, and there is some interesting combat coming up in time. Jamal, your MVP.
It's very hard to point to one specific thing because there were a lot of little things. I will say one of the things that I thought was pretty great was the whole touch of the thing with the goggles and everything, and just some of the ways to understand just what the specific characters can do. There were a few moments in the meeting and stuff, but I can't put my finger on one specific one. Also, I'll just have to say another minor one as well. Just has to go to the fact that we got the arrow, and it's just like, fuck, am I going to do with this?
Completely useless for him.
Yep.
I love these items. I never can't love them.
Jay.
Yeah, our whole getting to know each other at the tavern at the end. Just all the interactions are great. Mm-hmm. Loving each of the character and how they all have like these small little fun details.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's people have definitely paid a lot of attention to their sort of specifics of their characters. Michaela.
Yeah, like everyone said, I am liking the party dynamic, getting to know these new characters. But specific MVP is, I think, seeing Jay as, I guess, a talkative character for once. It is like very different
Yeah,
compared
I
to
just.
yeah.
I was describing Jay's halfling that he plays on Saturdays in Darkness Over Cologne to Bruno, who's done the overlays for us today. And I said, yeah, on Saturday's session, he said one thing in character, and it was, he nods. So it's a
Exactly.
massive transition, yeah. It's really cool
Yeah.
to see, I agree.
And from Stars as well, I have to say.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah, Stars is never anywhere near us.
yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I have a few. I really enjoyed Winona's glasses and the passing round. I thought that was really cool. And also a really
is,
sort
like-
of interesting way of looking at the mechanics of dark vision and extra dark vision and sunlight sensitivity as Deep Dome, right? I thought that was really nice. I really liked Josh saying he's just picturing his dragon with an eye patch and a parrot. That gave me a good chuckle.
That's so cute.
But I think my favourite one was we're 4.5 hours into a campaign that's taken place solely outside in the air and in a castle, and Winona turns around to Kai and says, "Can you breathe?" It's like, she clearly wasn't that concerned.
Well, we're about the mechanics of how it works, okay?
Yeah, I got it, but it was just hilarious that it came up at that moment. Anyway, it's an
No.
absolute pleasure to have had a first session. I hope you guys had fun. I know I did. We're going to be raiding Beadle and Grimm's. Beadle and Grimm's do various things. They are, for the most part, creators of various different things, toys, miniatures, etc. But for the most part, they're a bunch of nerds who get together and chat D&D. And they've just started. I really recommend that you guys get to know them and have a look. My spider friend will not be turning up again. It'll be mass murdered during the
Yeah,
night.
that was the obvious
with
MVP,
large
was
books.
James.
Regardless, just a few quick housekeeping things before we go. Obviously, Derek, thank you very much for the raid, much appreciated. LolGamers89, welcome to the Duck Pond. Thanks for the follow. Please stay the fuck away from my pond life. A reminder to you guys that we have a website going on, and there will be a Meet the Characters coming up soon for this particular campaign. You can meet the characters for the other campaigns on the website, on the blog. But without further ado, I think we'll be going. So if you guys would like to say goodbye,
Goodbye.
Bye.
we shall see you soon.